Alright, so here we have a Ford 9N that I bought to plow up our horse pasture so they had better dirt to run on, and when the horses are worked they have good footing and stuff. But got a super good deal on it, and as all tractors that are 80 years old now, it had some problems when I got it, and one of them was this governor was seized, and it was a Chinese reman one. So I bought another one, and I did some research on them, which ones to buy and whatnot, and everybody said these were garbage. But I'm into this tractor so little money, I didn't really want to spend a whole bunch more on an actual Ford governor. They're quite expensive. I think they're going up to $400 or whatever. But I got this one, took it apart, everything looked okay inside. It didn't look that cheap, and I decided to throw it on, see what it would do. And it doesn't work. What it's supposed to do, as you come up here and apply throttle to it, as you apply throttle, it moves this lever down. And this in here, I don't know if you can see very well, but this lever is what your throttle is hooked to. Comes down here, and it applies. And what it's supposed to do is, as RPM comes up, this is on a spring, which you can see right back there. There are weights inside here that are supposed to expand and pull against the spring to slow the motor down. So as the RPMs come up, that's supposed to modulate your speed and whatnot, so you can give it a bunch of throttle and it'll keep it at the operating RPM. As engine slows down, it applies more throttle, and the opposite. What does this one do? Absolutely nothing. If you floor it, the RPMs never come back down, and it revs to a point where it would make you nervous. So I'm gonna take it apart, and I think it's just not adjusted properly, or they never tested it or whatever. I don't know, but we're gonna take it off. It's just a 2 9/16 bolt, this oil line, and a couple linkages. Easy stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and take it off, and we'll look what's inside. Alright, so we're back in the shop here. We've got the governor pulled off, cleaned up a bit. This obviously spins, and we can show it to you better here on the bench, but as you give it throttle, you pull this, or that would be throttle, and then as the governor speeds up, this is supposed to act against the spring, and as this, pulls the throttle back, so it slows the engine down. That's what it's supposed to do. And right now, let's say you give it full throttle, nothing. You can hear the balls expanding in there like they're supposed to, the governors, and it doesn't operate this. I've got a theory as to why, and I already measured it, and it turns out we are right. So as you pull this out, pretty simple mechanism. You spin it, it goes right on back. So that is working. Everything operates smooth. There's no stickiness here, anything. So that's doing as it should. So let's look in here, and we have a fork in here. Let's see if we can see it. As this part expands backwards, it will be pushing on this, I want to call it a shift fork, but I guess it's just a fork or whatever. It's supposed to push on that to slow the engine down. And I did some rudimentary measuring with my tape measure, and I came out with this all the way forward as close as it can. We have 1.5 inches, roughly, doing this with a tape measure. So from the face of here to the front of the forks, we've got 1.5 inches. From the face of this to this all the way back, as far as it could go, we have about 1.5 inches. So by the time this is completely maxed out and against the C-clip stop, it is just barely starting to touch that shift fork. So when the governor has completely run out of travel, it's just barely touching this, and you can see that. It just ever so slightly touches it. Well, that doesn't work. I don't know who in their mind in this factory somewhere, obviously they're not testing these because they don't work at all. So my plan here is just to make up some spacers. I measured the travel of what this is supposed to be, and it's about 1/4 inch. So if I want this whole travel back here, I've got to space out off of this flange another 1/4 inch. So Let me go off camera, scrounge around. I was thinking something like this, a washer or whatever, but obviously this isn't big enough, so I'm gonna have to come up with some spacers or something. We'll put this together and see if I can get it to work. Alright, so I've drilled a washer and a little spacer I found that had a 3/4 inch inside diameter, and I slid that on there, and it's just about a 1/4 inch longer. So it's not the prettiest thing ever, but you know, I'm $0 into this. So that slides top of there. This will slide right down on top of that. Nice tight fit. And then it's about the same size, shouldn't interfere anything. I don't think there's anything for it to hit in there. This should just slide back together. Oh. And now this thing, if I hold that in there, it moves. So at wide open throttle there, it's hitting the it's bottomed out, but I think that should work. I think we're gonna have the governor doing what it should now. I may need to do some adjusting, maybe sand down those washers a little bit, but for this, I'm gonna clean it up, put it back together, and we'll go try it. All right, we are out here with our modified Chinese replacement governor. We've got the Ford, and of course it started raining as soon as we got set up here, but we'll go ahead and get this slap back together real quick, and then hopefully this will work. We'll give it a good go. All right, the rain's really coming down. We're gonna take a break because I can hear it coming. All right, the rain has passed just temporarily, and got a few minutes, it looks like. All right, we're all hooked up. Let's turn that on, let's turn the fuel on. All right, let's fire this up and see if she runs. Let's go to idle. Wants a little more choke. Maybe I didn't turn the fuel on enough. Maybe it's just really cold and cranky. I haven't owned this tractor very long. I don't know exactly what it likes and what it doesn't. It seems to fire up and run great when it's warm. This is the first time it's been cold this year. Let it idle and get warm here for a second. The governor is definitely holding the RPMs back. Even at wide open throttle, it doesn't rev up like it used to. The RPMs stay nice and low, which leads me to believe the governor is working as it should. All right, the rain has kind of shut me down here. It's getting pretty muddy out. I don't want to spend too much time out here. It's very wet, a little cold, but the governor works. I think the RPM range is a little low, but the governor adds throttle when you're under load, and it takes away throttle when it free revs. So I think that's a good way to fix it. If you want to buy one of these cheaper, they're still not cheap. They're $200 something, which is, you know, the cost of a rebuild kit for one of these things. But if that's all you have, if you don't have the original and you can't rebuild the original, get yourself some 3/4 inch inside diameter washers and stack them on the back of that thing till it takes up the space between that the operating fork and the, I guess I want to call it a throw out bearing, but it's kind of the same thing. So yeah, easy fix. It works, and it's a cheap way to get the Chinese governors to work. I don't know why they don't come that way from the factory, but it's still a cheap fix. All right, see you later.